What's going on, everybody? What's going on? How's everybody doing? Listen, it's a wonderful, but it's a freezing cold Saturday, but it's a wonderful Saturday. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Speak Out Loud Radio Show on Fire 716 Radio. Listen, you do not want to miss today's show. Now, let me slow back and go back a little bit. If you don't know who I am, let me introduce myself really quick. My name is David M. Pinkston, but I go by the name of DMP Speaks. I am an empowerment speaker. I'm also a family restoration specialist, which means I help restore the lack of communication, the lack of love, whatever those lacks are. I come in as they say, the middleman, but I help with my specialty and my experience to help your family get back together, because that's what's important. I'm also a life coach, and I'm also working on a book that's going to be released probably this year or beginning of 2024. But my biggest thing coming on the radio every Saturday at 2 p.m. is to speak out loud on some issues, to speak out loud on some things that need some attention. So today's topic, today's session that we're going to talk about, and it's very heavy, and this is going to be part one. The topic is breaking family generational curses. Let me say that one more time. We're talking about, this is part one, breaking family generational curses. The reason why I'm going to take my time, and I don't know if I'm be able to finish today, because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to generational curses. But there's a lot to unpack when it comes to family generational curses. This is something that it's going to take me a little bit to get through. And the reason why I feel like it's so important to talk about this, because we see a lot of attack when it comes to the family in general. It doesn't matter what your family looks like, but we see a lot of attack, constant attack in our homes, not just our communities, but our homes, especially our Black families. We have a lot of generational curses. I'm not saying that other nationalities and other ethnicities don't have generational curses, because they do. But I do believe that there is a particular stronghold on our African American or Black families, however you want to identify yourself, because this is something that really needs to be talked about. And I decided that we need to really talk about this today. I believe it's going to be a part two. I believe it's going to be a part three. I think I'm going to stay here for a little bit, for a few weeks, because I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about. We got to break whatever we didn't start that's been holding our families back. So I want to get into this because I want to get away from the time. Now, I want to pose a few questions to you. Now, let's be honest. Have you ever wondered why you act the way that you do? Because some of you probably have questioned them. I'm gonna lie, I used to question. It's not a bad thing. My father was everything. My mom is still one of the greatest people in my life, right? But I always wonder, why do I act the way that I do? Maybe you have asked yourself, why do you act the way that you do? Another question that you have you ever wondered why your parents are the way that they are? That's a big one. That's a huge one, because some parents act a certain way. Everybody's parents are not bad. Every parent is, not a trouble, but you might have some parents that have been through some things that they never probably talked about, right? And you wonder why you act the same way, or you act like them, or there's something, I wouldn't say you're off, but there's something that's just unusual and you seem like you can't shake it. Another question is, have you ever wondered why your relationships, your marriage might be not where it should be, or there's some relationships with friends that maybe it just went to the left or went to the right, and you just don't know what's going on? Another question, have you ever wondered why your family has some particular dysfunctions that seem like they always happen? Well, my brother, sister, you might be experiencing the title of our topic today, this afternoon, family generational curses. Because let's be honest, you might not even be aware that your family has a generational curse. These consist in the curse. These curses consist of it might not just happen to you. It could happen to your siblings. It could happen to your mom. It could happen to your dad. It could have happened to your aunts and uncles. It could have happened to your grandparents, your great grand. You don't know where it started, unfortunately, but you know that there's a problem in your generation. There's a problem that's just continues to linger in your bloodline. Some examples of those are anger. Have you paid attention to some people's temperament in your family? You're always arguing, you're always fighting. There's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of exhaustion. Um, and this is a heavy one, so I want to be careful. Divorce, that goes on a lot. Seem like people can't stay married to their significant other. There's infidelity. And I know that's a heavy one, and I know that's a sensitive topic. But that is something that goes on in family generational curses. Constant arguing and yelling, not getting along, jealousy of one another, and like I stated, unhealthy relationships continue to happen. And again, you don't know where they're coming from, but you also do gotta recognize it. And that's why I asked you those particular questions at the beginning of this show, because sometimes we don't even realize that our families do have some generational curses. We don't even realize that some of the ways that we have are not just, they just came out of the blue. It's embedded in our DNA. You don't just look like your daddy. You are like him because you come from him. But in that DNA, there's something, and I'm not trying to be churchy, but there's a spirit that is attached to your family that is just been bringing some negativity, some uncomfortability that has not been talked about. And let's be honest. I'll be honest. I'll tag myself in. In our homes, in our Black community homes, we don't like to talk about our problems. I'll let that breathe for a moment. That's why I said I don't think I'm going to finish today. We don't really like to talk about our problems because we like to look and feel great and look great and drive great. Don't get me wrong, the Pinkstons, that's one thing. We love each other, but we like to ride good. We like Cadillacs. We like Buicks. We dress nice. My father used to wear 3-piece suits just to go out and hang out with his siblings. I never understood it. Now I get it. Now I get it. My mama's side, they did church. That's what they did. You know, I ain't gonna get into all of it, but they did church. My father, they love the Lord, but they like to party. Shout out to the Pinksters because I like to party. I'm saved, sanctified, but I like to have a good time. Anyways, but seriously, and I'm only saying this because this is who I am. So if you really look at your own particular life, there could be some things that were great. So everything is not horrible, but there might be some areas in your family line that you just don't understand. Yeah, and yes, my sister Krista, she said, it seemed like there's no issues, no family issues, but there's some issues, right?
For sure.
There's some issues that are going on, and we're too afraid. We're too afraid to talk about them. And you wonder why is that? Why are we so afraid? So I'm going to pause here because I know I'm not going to finish today. I want to open up the phone lines because I usually do this about around 15, 20 minutes of my show. But I want to open this phone line up. The reason why I want to open up the phone line because, like I said, this is part one. I want to give somebody an opportunity to talk about that for a moment. Do you know that there's some issues in your family and you guys don't talk about it? But why? Why don't people want to talk about their situations? Are they afraid? Is it they're worrying about their counterparts? Or they're worrying about their friends? They're worrying about other family members saying something? The reason why I'm going to open up the phone line is because a lot of people, when it comes to family generational issues and problems, the reason why some people don't want to talk about it because they're embarrassed because it's still going on. Abuse is still going on. verbal abuse. People have dealt with sexual abuse, and we like to be quiet about it, but there are people my age. Oh, I'm about to tell you. So let me give you the number. So the number is 716-299-0013. Let me give it to you one more time. The number here to call in is at 716-299-0013. One more time, 716-299-0013. You just call in. There's no extension. You just call it. I'm live there because I really, really feel like this is an issue in our community, but also in our families. We have to be able to break these curses. And again, these curses stem from generations that we didn't know. Some more examples: alcohol abuse. And I already mentioned sexual abuse. We don't even want to talk about that. We don't even want to touch that. We don't even want to touch unwanted pregnancies that happen in your family. You had that cousin that went away, and you wonder why they went away. There was a situation that happened. We also deal with low confidence in ourselves, low self-esteem, unhappiness, or your family could be so much that you're prominent, but you're not happy. You have the money, but you're not happy. So you're going to the money and the fame, but there's nobody to share it with. That's in a lot of people's family lines as well. But you got to be able to break these negative curses of your life, and not only off of your life. This continues to your children, to your children's children, and to your children's children, because that is your line. So you have to find how to break it. And I'm going to get into that. And if I don't, we'll do a part 2. But we have to be able to break the negative curses out of our lives, because we cannot continue to be consumed. Our families, we are suffering. We are suffering because of these generational curses in our family. But someone has to break and have to be bold enough, to be strong enough to break them. And you know who that is? That person needs to be you. So I'm going to give you the number again, everybody. I want you guys to call into the air live. 716-299-0013. Again, 716-299-0013. And I want to encourage you all, please go download Fire 716 radio app. You don't want to miss it. We have great music during the day. We have other great shows of my brothers and sisters that are on different times during the week. And I'm here on Saturdays at 2 p.m. live. Listen, you don't want to miss it. You can go to the App Store or Android. You can download the app. You can get all great information. We have community information. We're going out in the community more. We're really trying to touch everybody in Western New York and abroad. You do not want to miss all that we have offered and what we're giving back to the community in this year of 2023. So let me just go back a little bit and just take my time, because Frank, I don't think I'm gonna finish today. I think this is too heavy, and I think I'm gonna have to bring some people on, because this is too heavy. And you might be saying, well, DMP Speaks, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. And it's tough. It's tough to talk about a topic like this. See, we could talk about inspiration and motivation. That's great. But when you get to these pain points, when you get to the place that it's really tough to really have a conversation about these things, you know that you're being led to talk about this. And again, I am being very careful of what I'm saying, because verbal abuse, sexual abuse, divorce, that is something that is really prevalent in our communities, unfortunately. And we do the shh, don't tell nobody, shh, be quiet. And we got to stop, shh, we got to stop being so quiet about this stuff because people need to be free. People need to have a place where they can speak. People have to have a place where they can talk about their generational curse, that there are problems, and they wonder why they act the way that they do. So what I talked about was, why do you feel you act the way that you do? Why do your parents act the way that they do? Why do your family members act the way that they do? Why relationships never seem to work out? It's that generational curse, but we don't know how to break them. We get through, we go through our lives. Just follow me for a moment. We go through our lives, and I won't even say that. I was going to go to another place. I'm not even going to say that. I'll leave that for another day. But we go through our lives. I've talked to so many friends. If I could just slow down for a moment. I've talked to so many friends of mine, and they would tell me, I want to change, but I in that time of, being vulnerable, I want to change, but I don't know how. But I'll ask them, well, do you feel like this is a, ongoing thing? You know what they'll tell me? Yeah. My uncles were this way. My daddy was this way. My siblings are this way. My aunts are this way. I had one friend of mine, she said, my aunts, they didn't have the greatest relationship, and I see that I don't either. Because it's a trend, because grandma did. Her mother didn't. It's a continuous thing that we have to be aware of. But again, you have to be able to break those molds. And you have to be confident enough to break those molds. Now, I'm about to hit you with a few things, and we're going to have to get out of here soon. One thing that I want to say is, because Daddy was a player, that doesn't mean that you have to be. I know that hurt. I know that hurt. Because mama didn't have a great relationship, or your sister didn't have a great relationship with their husband, that doesn't mean that you should have a bad relationship or marriage with yours. You got to be able to break that mold, that negative cycle. I know this is hard to take. I know this is hard to talk about. But I really need everybody to understand, when are we going to talk about it then? When we're going to talk about it when everybody is not with their spouses, when their children are uproaring, or we're going to take the time to really get some healing? Because healing is necessary for your growth. Let me say it one more time. Healing is necessary for your growth. I'm not just talking about physical healing. Physical healing is a big thing. I'm talking about emotional healing. I'm talking about relational healing, psychological healing, the healing of the heart. Some of you have been miserable in your life. And there's something gotta change. So I'm encouraging you all. We gotta break these cycles off of our families. I talked about on Facebook, absent parents, and I'll be honest, I've been getting good traction, but when I started talking about absent parents, I think it must have hit somebody, because people didn't want to talk about that. And we got people our age. I'm almost 40, still dealing with that. The father wasn't there because that father's father wasn't there, and that father's father wasn't there. That's a trend. That's a negative trend. But we got to talk about it, because you know how many people are walking around, working, going to church, going to the mall, hanging out, but when they get home, they sad because they don't have their parent in their life, or the family is continuously arguing. The family is just in a disruption. And that's not what God designed the family for. I'm not saying you're never going to have no issues. That's a lie. If you never had an argument in your home, I'm trying to see if I got a pulse. because this happens. It happens. But when are we going to start to get the healing that we need? Again, because daddy wasn't there and whoever wasn't there, that doesn't mean that you have to stay where you are. This is a huge thing. And I know, and I'm hitting certain spots, and we're going to come back to this part 2, maybe part 3, maybe part 4. Because mama might have treated you differently than your siblings doesn't mean that you can't talk to her. But I know that there's some healing that needs to happen. I know that there's something that needs to happen, something that needs to change. I know this is heavy because I can feel the heaviness on the line. I can feel the heaviness on the social media because I know this is something that you've been wanting to talk about, but you don't know who to talk to. And I'm going to say this, I want to be able to be one of those people to help because I believe that I put on this earth to do certain things and talk about certain things that people are uncomfortable to talk about. But I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge your parents. I'm not here to judge your aunt or uncle or your grandpa. I'm here to bring healing to families. That's what I'm here. There are men out here that have children that are trying to figure out how to parent because they weren't parent. They weren't parent the right way. Maybe dad wasn't there. Maybe mom wasn't there. And they have kids now and they're trying to figure out. So I want to say this to you, bro. You can do it. I know what society says. I know what the media says about the black man, but that's a lie. We got a lot of good brothers out here taking care of their families. And I will say this boldly. We have one here sitting here that's the owner of this radio station. And if I could say this, if you don't mind, Frank, he's up here running the whole board and he has his children with him. Now, I haven't seen that in a while. I only see that with pastors because they have to take their kids or, to church. But when you're running a whole and you have people under you and you still loving on your kid. I watched him just now running the board and talking to his son, telling him he loves him. I'll let that breathe for a moment. I'm almost done. I'm about to get out your way. So I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to say this to you. This will definitely be a part 2 and a part 3, maybe a part 4. Again, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help. And the only way that we can help, we got to absolutely recognize that there's a problem. We have to recognize that we can't keep doing the same things that we've been doing over and over and over and looking for different results. Your family needs healing. And the only way that you can get the healing that you need, you got to recognize that there is a problem. Just like when they go to Alcohol Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, you got to recognize that there is a problem. But when it comes to your family, the same thing. You guys got to recognize that there is an issue. And you can't keep sweeping it under the rug. Can't keep sweeping it under the rug like there's no issue. But I want to be able to help you. If you feel like there's a generational curse in your particular family that's just generational, but you want to break that mold and you've been trying all these things and it just hasn't been working, I want you to reach out to me. I want you to go to my social media pages. I want you to click on that particular link in my bio. You can set yourself up for a free consultation call. It's only for 30 minutes. It's free, but I want to help you be the best person that you could be for your family so your family can grow. Because I believe in the family dynamic. I believe in healthy relationships. And the only way that we're going to have the family, good family relationships is that we start to do the groundwork now. But let's rebuild your family. This is part 1 of the series now. Breaking family generational curses. I know that y'all can do it. I know things have been tough, but you can do this because I believe in you And I want you to be the best version. I want your family to be the best version that they can be. Let's go get it, y'all.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Speak Out Loud. I hope I inspired you, motivated you, and I want to help you become the best version that you can be. Please follow me on all my social media outlets: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.